I'm Todd Brown with Next Action Associates. I'm going to give you a brief overview of the model that sits at the core of getting things done. We call it the workflow model. It's a model of 5 phases, and it reflects what you do already. Anytime you're engaged in productive activity, you're somewhere in this model. The first phase is what we call capture. And best practice of the area of capture means gathering things that I might need to do something with or something about. The one non-negotiable in getting things done, capture doesn't happen in your head. So if you've got an idea in your brain, it's in the wrong place. Get it out of your head. If you got paper to hand, write it down. If you got your smartphone on you, send yourself an email. Get it out of your head. The next phase is what we call clarifying. And in clarifying, our goal is as efficiently as possible to make decisions about those things that we've captured, whether it's an email or whether it's a note I've written on a Post-it. So in clarifying best practices, let's make sure that I'm expending the least possible energy to make those decisions. At the core of the questions we ask in clarifying are the 2 questions: what's the next action? And what's the desired outcome? What's the very next thing I'm going to do to move this forward? And ultimately, what's the finish line for this thing? Once I've clarified, if I've identified something that I'm not going to do straight away, or if I've identified something which is information I'm going to hold on to for later, it's reference material, let's say, then I'm going to organize it. And best practice in organizing is that your organizational system has 2 hallmarks, really. Number 1, it's external. It's not in your head. And number 2, your organizational system has clean edges. Things that mean one thing go in one place. If you can show me a list of things that you want to discuss with the boss the next time you meet with the boss, that's clean edges. The 4th phase is what we call reflect. Reflect basically is, how do I interact with the system that I have? If you've ever looked at a to-do list or looked at your calendar, you've reflected. This is the kind of activity we're doing when we reflect. Best practice is that you're supported with good options whenever you want to be supported by them. In other words, when you say, well, I've got 10 minutes free before my next meeting, what can I look at that would inform me about the things that I could do? But another part of reflection, which is best practice, is to do something that we call the weekly review. And that's a chance to take a step back, to get out of the busyness of modern life, to get out of the phone call, email meeting rhythm that a lot of us get into, and do some higher level thinking. And then finally, in engaging. Engaging is the last phase. And this is where you make decisions. What do I do? I've got some time before my next meeting. How do I put that time to best use? And when I say best use, I mean, how can I be sure that whatever I choose to do, I trust that I'm working on the right thing? It could be, just to be clear, it could be in those 10 minutes that what I'm doing is a brainstorm about ideas for next year's budget. Or it could be that in those 10 minutes, I am going to walk out in the street and have a wander in the sunshine because I need a bit of a break. We're not interested in creating robots, out of you or out of us. So the workflow model, those 5 phases, as I say, it lies at the core of getting things done. And it provides us with a mechanism, with a reflection point for optimizing the way that you work.